It's the 13th of the 6th, 2022, and it's quite early on in the morning. It's nearly about 3 o'clock, 3 a.m., and I'm experiencing disturbances of the peace. Human rights violations are continuing, the constitutional wrongdoings are continuing, and the violations of privacy and the intruders and trespassers upon my current abode and my farm holdings, where there have not been any lawful proceedings, where there have been individuals conducting illegal, unlawful proceedings, and that have been incurring debt upon my properties in Ardfert and Kilflynn, which are, as I've just mentioned, subject to repeat fraud. That is like a reoccurring cycle in this country. In 2018, as I've mentioned, recovery and COVID came on to the worldwide platform as a consequence of my work, and that became apparent in 2019. So COVID and recovery I have ownership of, and I'm experiencing human rights violations. Now, within Ireland, there has been healthcare legislation, and there has been healthcare legislation via damages done to my bodily integrity. I'm an avatar. Now, I'm a light body, and my light body has been intercepted by individuals that are of blasphemy and treason, and that have been of offences against the state, and they've been conducting unlawful, unstandardised practices that are harmful to my body. So, as I've mentioned, I'm treating this on my own. Not once. I've only experienced medical negligence. That's all I've experienced. I haven't experienced any contractualities with these individuals that have been exploiting my body. I'm a truth finder. I'm a truth seeker. I'm an avatar. I'm a light worker. And my work has been imposed upon. I'm a humanitarian. I'm a recovery advocate. I'm a load of things. I'm a creative artist. And I might add as well, the United Kingdom has been benefiting from my humanitarian endeavour in 2018 that is also subject to creative, intellectual and professional property theft. So the UK has heard from me, and the House of Dáil Éireann has heard from me since 2017. Now, there's this attitude of nonchalance and turning a blind eye and the bystander effect, and we'll just ignore it and we'll let it get worse. And there have been casualties as a consequence of this kind of irresponsible behaviour. Now, where I'm living, there's been very dangerous offences to my living environment. Computational programming is what they called it. Now, there's been wildlife programming going on in County Kerry as well, due to those individuals that have been intercepting my sacred light body. I'm a royal, sacred. My body is going through its own hormonal changes since giving birth in 2015, and it's also going through the changes of these people that aren't actually qualified. They're new age spiritualists, and they have not been reforming from their demeanours and their offences against the state since I uncovered so much in 2018. Now, there have been positives and negatives to my humanitarian work. From my perspective, it's been very beneficial and prosperous for the betterment of society, but there are individuals that are telling porkies, and they're damaging nature and they're damaging wildlife, and they're not coming to the reality of the sense of their irresponsibility, and they just haven't been responsible in anything they've done whatsoever. So they haven't had legality, they haven't had proper procedures in place, they haven't respected protocol, they haven't furnished me with what they're supposed to. They have barged, trespassed and intruded. There are people coming in and out of a building where I'm the only tenant that's supposed to be in the house. There aren't other people to be in my proximity. Now, the guards have obligations to my identity, my privacy, my personal space, etc., etc. There are obligations, and they're not being fulfilled since 2017. So I'm referring to 2017 and 2019 specifically. Now, I have a child, and he's a missing person. I don't know where my son is. Now, there are people playing games with my child's upbringing, and the Tusla Child and Family Agency are fully aware of the individuals that have been exploiting my precious child's innocence. his light is so pure. When he was born, his light was so pure. And the Tusla Child and Family Agency are aware of what I'm referring to. So my child has been interrupted in his happy upbringing as well. So those individuals that are messing with people's genitalia, anatomy, organs, etc., and people that are conducting offences against the Hippocratic Oath are not doing themselves or other women and children any favours in society. And this has been happening since 2017. So I'm online, I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube, and there are people thinking they're controlling the media, and they think they're sending out their disinformation, and they're doing a disservice. So the UK has benefited from my work. Ireland has been benefiting from my work. There's been healthcare legislation. It's not been lawful. I have a child that's a missing person. I have farms that are subject to illegalities and fraud, and there are issues of individuals unfortunately exacerbating the matter by causing offence to my matrimony and the church. And that's all very serious. So it's not very brave or courageous for these kind of role models to be in society. They're not showing a good example for civil society principles. And those people that are of identity theft, intruding upon me, and that have been setting a bad example to young children, are a liability, not only in their profession, but in their personal lives. And any person going into a classroom that's suffering from identity issues that have been offending me are really not a good role model in society and are of ASBO behaviour. And I hope everyone comprehends that these people aren't equipped for the real world when they're suffering from any kind of delusions of who they are, what they are, or where their place is in the world, which wouldn't be in another person's personal life, like they have been intruding upon mine, imposing. They've been quite ignorant, quite cheeky. It's quite rude, and the obscenities from them. The obscenities have just been abhorrent. The defamation has been terrible from their mouths. The defamation, that like, it's really serious. So the new ageists that are of offences against the state, that have been of a part and a role and a function in this scenario since 2018, since my humanitarian endeavour uncovered so much and saved so much in the greater scheme of things. What happened between 2018 and 2019 as a consequence of my purpose and role and my endeavours really narrowed there was a lot of damage limitation efforts from 2019, and there have been repeat offenders impinging and imposing upon me and living off my wealth. I'm in poverty, and these people have been living off me, and that's all very unsafe. So I hope that the NATO members, the United Nations, are getting a full proper picture of this. I'm putting this up on Twitter this morning, and I would appreciate a bit of bravery and courage from the individuals that aren't facilitating any women that are suffering from mental illness and identity issues, that are living off my wealth, etc., and my property, and that are disrespecting civil society, the Constitution, and any progress I initiated in 2018 that culminates as recovery and COVID, that no other fraudsters or such would be able to take credit for whatsoever. So I'd like people to come to the reality of this circumstance. It's getting serious.